Hey guys, my 2017 Roadmaster. Just got back from a tour on it about a week ago, 2,000 miles, getting ready to head out on a little bit bigger tour here in a couple weeks. Time to do a little bit of pre-tour maintenance. Thought we'd walk through some of it. Do an oil filter change, probably check the belt, maybe swap out the air filter, see what else it needs. For the last couple years, I've been running this Motul 1554T. Came via a recommendation I found online, and I haven't noticed anything different on the engine, but boy, the bike sure seems to shift better with this oil. A lot less clunky, so I've been really happy with it. It's about what I plan to keep running in the bike. Oil filter, I've been using K&Ns for a long time. Never had a problem with them. Super convenient with a little wrench adapter on the end of them. Crush plugs, about these in bulk from Speedway Motors. You can get them all sorts of places. Some guys will try to anneal them and reuse them. I mean, to save 38 cents, I just always put new ones in. Drain plugs are 6mm. This is a 17 to fit that K&N filter. Low profile drain pan off of Amazon. And that's about it. So I almost forgot a tool. My bike's got this fancy little chrome oil filler plug. Does not take a special tool. You have to have the special Indian tool that fits on there so you don't scratch it up. And I always like to make sure this is open before I drain the oil. Lets the oil flow out of the engine a little bit smoother. So here's the drain plugs on the bike. There's two of them. They both take a 6mm Allen key. One thing I wanted to show you is be careful about which Allen keys you use. All these tools I'm going to show you are 6mm. You can see how much slop that one has. This is an old Craftsman 6mm socket, which isn't horrible. Here's another, Chinese Allen key, which just, if you're not careful here, you're going to strip these plugs out. The best one I found out of my tool set is this little 1/4-inch drive. Goes up in there, and there's a little bit of play, but it's honestly half the play is between the chrome part and the 6mm socket, or 6mm driver itself. So that's the one I'm going to use. All right, this is going to take a while, especially because the engine's cold. So let's get the oil filter off here. See, I like these K&Ns because this is so easy. Just spin them off with a wrench like that. First thing here, let's get the new oil filter back on. It's still got a tiny little drip here, but that is all right. It's got an O-ring on it. I want to make really sure the old O-ring came off with the filter. Don't want to double stack them. Some guys will say to never do what I'm about to do, but I always do it. Just don't be dumb with it. What I'm talking about is using a wrench to tighten this thing down. You're aiming for about as tight as you could get it with your hand without the wrench. You're right about there. A little bit of brake clean up this area here. Get that oil residue off the frame. I would say you want to keep this thing from leaking. The thing to do is make sure everything's really clean. So I spent some time just wiping down these bolts, making sure there was no residue or gunk on the sealing surfaces. It is dripping a little bit, but I'll wipe that down with some brake clean and a paper towel. Short little detour here. Turns out those aluminum crush washers I had, I'm not 100% sure what they fit, but I am sure that they do not fit this bike. So I had to take a little run, grab some new copper crush washers. Indian will sell you the 12 by 19 by, I forget the thickness, but these are just standard M12 crush washers, bottom at Cycle Gear. Ended up being 50 cents each, $5 for a pack of 10. Verified they fit nicely on the bolts, fit nicely in the holes, and you're ready to go. Manual says 15 foot-pounds, so 180 inch-pounds. That is not as tight as I would have made them. Step one of the fill is just 4.5 quarts. Okay, after 3 or 4 more little top offs, I think we finally have this thing right where I want it. We are actually add full oil level is right there. Exactly where it ought to be. Perfect. All right, oil change almost done. I said almost done. One more thing to do, and that's just reset the clock. Bike thinks it actually has another 1,200 miles in that oil. I would not have changed it quite so soon, except, like I said at the beginning of this, we are headed out on a 2,500 mile tour, and the last thing I want to do is either overrun the oil or have to try to get this done out on the road. So we'll just get it taken care of now, which is pretty much done. All we got to do is reset the counter. See if I can find it. It's in general, which might be in vehicle. Oil life service reset, first thing. Yes, sir. See how hard that was? Now we got 5,000 miles. Well, as you can see, I have got my air filter reinstalled. It was kind of a mess in there. Gave it a good shot of the K&N cleaner, scrubbed it out in the sink with some soapy water, and then gave it a fresh coat of oil. Got it reinstalled. It's the first time I've serviced it since I installed this thing over the winter, and that was before I had this lift set up. And I really don't think I had it properly seated underneath here. So I was very careful to make sure this thing is really seated correctly this time. It came apart, you may have noticed, it was a little messy in here. A little bit of oil, that is probably the trickiest part of doing the oil change on these bikes, is getting the right amount of oil into it. Had some engine oil residue inside of here, which honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing. I never had oil running out onto the engine. I did catch, there was a couple of times where I'd have to clean up this bottom surface from having some residue in it, and there you can go. You can see it's still a little bit gunky. Haven't cleaned this out yet. All right, last thing I'm going to try to do today is make sure the belt is adjusted right. You can see I've got the bike up on a little scissor jack here, so the rear wheel is suspended. So bike's in neutral, it's spinning freely. So two things, belt tension and belt alignment are what I'm looking at. So, you know, wheel turning up off the ground is how you want to check the belt tension. This is your indicator. It hits a pretty firm, a pretty sudden and abrupt stop. I don't think there's any need for a special little tension tool to measure that force. One thing I know from my old bike track racing days is nothing is as round as you think it is. So when I check this belt going all the way around, every once in a while, like right there, it's a little bit loose. Belt is deflecting a little bit higher. I haven't found any spots where I think it's tight. So as I adjust this, I'm probably going to try to put a little bit more tension into it. Then the other thing I want to look at is the belt alignment. And the reason I want to look at that, adjust things around here a bit. Let's see if that'll work. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. Belt is running on the inside edge a little bit, which actually surprises me. I had this right on before we left for our last tour. So we'll just take care of both those things in one swoop here. I'm not sure if you can be able to see this or not. And if I hadn't done this a bunch of times before, I'd probably pull the saddlebags off to get to this stuff, but I just know there's a big old 27 lock nut up in here. That's the guy right there. You just need to loosen that first. Okay, the adjusters are right there. They are a 13 millimeter. You can get to them with a 13 millimeter thin wall deep. So I'm going to really cheat and use a flexi. There they are. So you just kind of got to adjust these. So what I'm doing is tightening this, which should at the same time pull the belt right and tighten it up a little bit. But we're probably going to want to tighten the other side a little bit too. And it's just a matter of adjust and check, adjust and check, adjust and check until it's where you want it. Well, I think that right there is about as good as I'm going to get it. It does wander around a little bit, but it seems to want to ride in the center. And in doing that, you can see here, my belt tension came up a little bit too, which is what I was looking for. Last thing, Dove soap. Just going to give the belt a little coating of soap, which does seem to help with the noise sometimes. So I should have showed you this. I use this little scissor jack here, but in terms of selecting lift points on the bike, it's just a couple of hockey pucks that I could, they cushion the bike a little bit and let me precisely place where the contact points are going to be. You can see I'm right beside those fill plugs we did on the oil change. We're missing the hard lines under here. You'd be surprised how often hockey pucks are handy around with the lift.